Hi everyone, welcome back to Kanuka Home Practice. I'm Stu, I'm taking this power flow today, and today's class is all dedicated to the Heart Chakra. So thinking about how you can bring more love and kindness into your movements, into your breath, thinking about ways you can protect your heart space as you move. Today we'll be working on our revolved triangle and our revolved big toe grip, which is a standing balance. I'm using a blanket and a block for today's class, although you don't 100% need these. If you have them, that's handy. If not, that's okay too. So if you've brewed yourself a nice cup of tea and got some nice music on, I'll see you on the mat very soon. So we're going to make a start today in a kneeling position. You can have a blanket underneath the knees, sitting down on the heels. Any cross-leg position will work as well, so just choose your comfortable seat. And let's open up the palms facing the ceiling, sitting nice and tall, lengthening the spine, and just giving a gentle nod, gentle tuck of the chin. Starting to connect in with your breath. Perhaps finding a fixed point for your gaze to look at. Starting to notice the breath. The element associated with the heart chakra is wind, so you can really visualize the breath flowing into the body, filling up the belly and the lungs. Exhale breath, releasing, and then inhaling once again. Breathing out. So if you like to visualize the wind element, maybe a gentle breeze blowing as you breathe in and out. Or you may prefer to notice the sensation of touch, which is associated with the heart chakra as well. So noticing the touch of your clothes on your skin, the temperature of the air on your skin. Maybe the touch of your tongue on the roof of your mouth or wherever it's sitting. Your hands resting on your thighs. And with the palms facing up, we are signaling to receive in a little more energy from the outside world, filling our cups of ideally some positive energy that you're starting to cultivate on your mat. Some positive energy from your yoga space at home. And on your next inhaling breath, we can raise the arms out beside you, reaching them up. Exhale breath, we float them back down. Inhaling, we raise them up. Exhaling them down. Inhale, raise them up. Interlacing the fingers at the top, we can find a gentle crescent over to the left side. Keeping your sitting bones grounded, reaching up towards the roof. And let's find a twist over to the right side. One arm behind, one arm in front. And floating the arms back. Let's inhale both arms to the roof. interlace the fingers, crescent over to the right side. And find our twist to the left, one arm back behind you, one arm in front. We'll do that flow once more to each side, hands float back to center, inhaling both arms to the sky, interlace and crescent to the left, twisting to the right, and the gaze might fall behind you, arms float back, and inhaling, reach them to the sky, interlace, crescent to the right, twisting to the left, and floating back. Let's come onto all fours. You can use the blanket for padding for the knees. And meeting in tabletop, hands beneath the shoulders, knees beneath your hips, swaying the hips side to side here. Fingers are splayed nice and wide on the mat. A little bit more downward pressure through the index finger and the thumb. That can usually help to alleviate some pressure on the wrists. And by doing that, it means that we're internally rotating the forearms. So the elbows, or the eyes of your elbows, are probably going to be pointing in towards each other. Maybe a little bend in the elbows that again can help for support of the wrists. And then we can start these circles around the wrist, torso moving forwards and around. And back in the other direction. Let's take the fingers to point to the outside of the mat, out this way, placing them down, and the same movement, the circles, they might be smaller circles. We're just warming up the wrists here. And other direction. And let's take the knees a little bit further back, reaching the arms forwards, finding our Hatasana, mounting heart pose. Hips will be above the knees, and lowering the forehead and the chin down and towards the mat. Giving yourself a shoulder opener here. Coming back to your breath. And for a variation, you might like to come onto the tips of your fingers, raising the elbows off the mat. 2 more breaths where you are. And walking the hands back in towards our tabletop. Let's find a neutral position, stabilizing the core a little bit. That belly is going to gently draw in towards the spine. And we can inhale the right arm and the left leg, the back toes pointing down. And as we exhale, bring the elbow in towards the knee and lengthen on the inhale. Exhale, rounding the back. Inhale to lengthen and exhale. Bring that elbow in, and let's pause here for a breath or 2. Bring that chin a little closer to the knee. And we lengthen and lower down to the other side. Inhale, left arm, right leg. And exhale, elbow in toward the knee. Inhale, lengthen and extend. Exhale, breath, find your crunch. Inhale. And exhaling. Let's pause with that rounded back, the chin coming a little bit closer towards your right knee. And lengthen, lower down. And let's walk the hands out in front, coming onto the forearms, palms facing down. Lower the hips down to the ground for Sphinx Pose. Lifting the gaze, option to take the legs a little wider behind you and finding a back extension here, creating a little gap between your top and bottom teeth, softening the tongue and the jaw, and the neck and the shoulders. And tucking the toes behind you, we're going to come into forearm plank. So you can have the knees down as you lift the hips, or you can raise the hips and the knees, elbows just beneath the shoulders, and staying where you are here, or for a little bit more, you can find a few gentle rocks forwards and backwards. Keep that belly button sucking in towards the spine, and the hips are going to be roughly in line with the shoulders. Keeping the gaze down towards the ground, starting to create some fire, build some energy, build some heat. And just where you are for another 2 or 3 breaths. And let's lower the knees, lower the hips down to the mat for our Sphinx Pose, back to where we were. Or you can take the arms a little bit further out in front for Seal Pose, starting to straighten the arms, lifting the gaze, and if you want a more of a back extension, you can bend the knees, although it's not for everybody. It does make it a little bit more intense. I generally prefer to have my legs down. Everyone is a little bit different though. You can also explore lifting the gaze, and the breath flows you back down, back into our forearm plank for another round, either knees down or knees lifted. And for our spicy variation this time, we can just find some gentle sways side to side. So gently lowering the right hip to the side and then lowering the left hip. So it's a pretty subtle movement, just moving slowly. If you haven't done this type of movement before, something new and different, you may notice different sensations in the body. So just move slow with a bit of control, trying to keep that breath flowing. Just 2 or 3 more breaths. And let's come onto all fours, placing the hands down, just sinking the hips back to the heels for a moment in child's pose, lengthening the spine, maybe a little sway side to side. And we'll come into our first downward dog. So when you're ready, you can lift the hips up toward the sky, bending into the knees, sinking the belly in toward the thighs, and starting to pedal out your dog, lowering one heel and then the other. Arms energized here. And externally rotating your upper arms. It's like you're trying to bring your armpits in towards each other. And this is to create a little bit more space for your shoulders and your neck. Creating more space for your head. And let's take little steps or a big step to the front of the mat. Inhale, breath, halfway lift. Exhale, breath, find your fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhaling, halfway. And exhale, find your forward fold, softening the knees if you like, taking opposite elbows. Some bounces or sways. bending and straightening into one leg at a time. Letting the neck and the head hang heavy. And then bringing the awareness to your feet as we start to raise the torso, lifting the body, reaching the arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers, and crescent to the left side. And find a twist to the right. And hands back, inhale, reach the arms up, interlace, crescent over to the right side. Twisting to the left. And hands float back. Let's spread the arms wide, thumbs pointing up towards the roof, and just finding some arm rotations here so the thumbs can point back towards the back of the room, and then thumbs will pivot all the way around. So we're just creating some rotation for the arms and the shoulders. So if you can see, my arm's just rotating, that thumb is kind of drawing circles in one direction and then coming back the other way. And hands back to heart center. We can begin our flow. So as we inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale breath, find your forward fold. Inhaling to halfway. And exhale, hands plant down. Let's step back with the right foot, raising the torso. Find your high lunge. Keep that belly drawing in, reaching the arms to the sky. And the right arm comes down, left arm stays up, finding a little lateral bend over toward the left side. And hands float up. Let's find a twist to the right side. Keep the legs where they are. And the hands float up to the sky, down through heart center. Let's bring the back foot in halfway and hinging at the waist, finding your pyramid. You can have the block down in front of you for a bit of extra support, bringing the ground a little closer. It's a great tool, often makes the pose more comfortable, means you can really focus in on the hips, on hinging, on lengthening the spine, without worrying about where the hands are going to float to, where they reach. That part doesn't necessarily matter a great deal. Lengthening your left hamstring here. And hands can float down to the mat. We'll step back, finding your high plank. You can flow through any vinyasa of your choice, or follow me as we lower slowly down to the mat. Finding your back extension, cobra, and then rolling back into down dog. And let's bring that right foot towards the front of the mat. Keep that back knee lifted as we raise the arms, high lunge. And this time the left hand comes down as we find a lateral bend over towards the left side. And twisting to the right. Hands float up, down through heart center, step the back foot in halfway, both soles of the feet planted down, straightening the legs, hinging at the waist. Find your pyramid, lengthening the right hamstring this time. Long spine, hinge at the waist, and again the belly button drawing in towards the spine. It's a great way to help support the lower back as we move. And we can place the hands down, stepping forwards to the front of the mat. Inhale breath, halfway lift. Exhale breath, find your fold. Inhaling all the way to standing, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale, breath, find your forward fold, softening the knees, hinging at the waist. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, hands plant down. We can walk, step, or float back. Finding a vinyasa as we lower down to the belly. Finding your back extension. And floating back to down dog. On the inhale, let's raise the right leg to the sky. And bring the knee toward the nose, rounding the back. And send it back. Let's bring the right knee toward the right elbow. Find a pause, find a hover. See if you can hold here for a breath or two. Pressing the ground away with the hands. And send that right leg back. Bring the right foot towards the front of the mat. Cartwheel the spiral the back heel down. Cartwheel the arms up. Warrior two. So my back foot is planted down. The front knee over the front ankle. And belly draws in. Arms spreading wide, and the gaze to the front of the mat. Inhale, right arm lifts, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle, the left arm to the sky. And then floating back and forwards, right arm lifts, reverse. Exhale, side angle, left arm lifts. The breath flows you back. And back into side angle, meeting in warrior two. Let's step the back foot in just a wee bit, finding our triangle. Legs become a bit more straight. You can extend that right arm long, and then hinging at the right waist. Right hand just falls either to a block or to the inside of your shin. Left arm reaching up to the sky. And if you feel like your knees are locking out here, just create a little bend in the knees. You don't need to be in any pain here. Just find the pose, how it works best for your body. I usually have my hand quite far from the ground. It means I can focus on my alignment. This is a nice side body stretch here, so really breathing into your side body, reaching up with that top hand. And we're going to revolve our triangle. So let's bring the left hand down. The legs stay where they are. And the right arm is going to come out to the side. So if you want to take this a bit further, you can send your gaze out towards the right side. Even floating that right hand a bit higher up towards the ceiling. The gaze can follow it. Finding this twist here. And that right hand can come down. Let's step forwards towards the front of the mat. And we're going to raise the left leg. So you have some options here. You can stay just where you are, finding a bit of balance. Or you can take the right hand to the big toe of your left foot. My peace fingers wrapping around the big toe. And option to just stay here. Or if you want to take your revolved big toe hold, grip here, extending your left leg out. Maybe that back hand floats behind you, gazing to a point that's not moving. Maybe the gaze floats behind. Keep the spine lifting tall. And let's lower that left leg down. Inhale, both arms to the sky. And find your forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant down. We can walk, step, or lightly float back. High plank. And we lower down through our vinyasa. Elbows brush the side body. Back extension for cobra or anything of your choice. And meeting in down dog. Face this way. Pedaling out your dog here. Take your breath. Got one more flow to the other side. So on the inhale, raise the left leg to the sky, three-legged dog, and bring the knee in toward the nose, rounding the back. Send the leg back, three-legged dog. And left knee toward the left elbow. And pausing here for a breath. Keep the tap or the knee close to the elbow, pressing the ground away with the arms and hands. And send that left leg back. Bring the left foot all the way to the front of the mat. Spiral the back heel down. Cartwheel the arms. Warrior two. Take a breath, find your gaze. And the left arm's going to raise to the roof. And exhale, side angle. Right arm lifts. On the breath, you float back, reverse warrior, left arm to the sky. And on the breath, side angle. Once more to reverse. And once more, side angle. Meeting in warrior two. Bring the hands to the waist. We step in halfway, straightening the legs. Reach that left arm forwards and hinging at the left waist. Find your triangle, right arm reaching to the sky. Imagining you're in between two panes of glass, finding a nice side body stretch on the right side. So when you're in between two panes of glass, if you feel like you're hinging over or really reaching to get to the ground, maybe just bring that bottom hand up a little bit, keep lifting up through the top hand, and imagine your top hand and your right elbow, so your right shoulder is up against a wall. Same with your hips, everything touching down. And we're going to revolve the triangle, so the right hand is going to come down, left arm out to the side, keep the legs where they are. Use the block if you have one handy. And you can revolve your triangle as much as it feels good. And that left hand floats back down. Let's step to the front of the mat. This time we're going to raise the right knee up, finding a bit of balance here. And you can take the peace fingers of your left hand to the big toe of your right foot. And option to just stay here with the knee bent, finding balance. If you want to explore extending your right leg out, the back arm can float behind you. If you do fall out, you can always come back in your own time. Have a little play with the pose. Maybe that gaze comes behind you. One side of the balance might be completely different to the other. Just one or two more breaths. And that right leg can land back down. Let's raise the arms up and find your forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhale, walk, step or float back to your high plank. Finding your final vinyasa, so lower down to the belly. Find your back extension. And let's roll over the ankles. Finding our boat pose, so raising the feet off the ground, hands beneath the thighs here. Keep that belly gently drawing in, can point and flex the feet. And extending the arms. Come back to your breath. And we're going to start to extend the legs as we lower the torso. And we can start to bring the arms in by your side body, hollowing out your body, extending the legs into low boat. And from low boat, if we can, as an extra challenge, trying to lift back up again into our boat. So you can have a play. We'll do that once more. This time we're going to lower all the way down to our back. So extending the legs, lower the torso. Keep that belly drawing down and towards the mat. Hands and arms in by your side body. Lifting, holding, one more breath. And we can lower everything down, give yourself a full body stretch. And bring the knees in toward the belly, take a little sway side to side. And we'll come through one round of our bridge pose, planting the soles of the feet down, the knees pointing up towards the roof. And when your back is feeling grounded, you can press down through the inner arches of your feet, raising the hips toward the sky, interlacing the hands underneath the back as the shoulder blades walk in. Keep the knees drawing in towards each other. And just focus on softening the shoulders, the neck, your jaw. If you're quite familiar with your bridge pose, you're welcome to play with leg lifts. So stay where you are, or you can have a play with raising the right leg to the sky and lowering that down, raising the left, lowering the left, and in your own time you can release the interlace and the shoulder blades walk back out. Lower the hips down, take the soles of the feet wide, and the knees can knock in towards each other. Settling your breath. And from here, you can choose your final resting pose. This concludes our power flow practice for today. So you can take a Shavasana, you can take a seated meditation. If you're feeling really warmed up and you want to work a bit more on the core or flow through that sequence again, please feel free to do so. Move and breathe as it works for you. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for joining me. Feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.